14 straight nights. That's how long my wife claimed she had a headache every time I came home from saving lives. But tonight, I discovered something that made my blood run cold. She'd been faking it all along. I'm standing in our kitchen at 7:23 p.m., still in my paramedic uniform that reeks of disinfectant and burned coffee. Another 14-hour shift, another day of pulling people back from death's door. The house smells like stale takeout and broken promises. Eliza is performing her nightly routine on the couch, curled up in that ratty hoodie, blanket over her lap like armor, phone glowing against her face like some twisted campfire. She doesn't look up when the door closes, doesn't acknowledge that I exist. But here's what she doesn't know. I just saw her Instagram story from 20 minutes ago. She was laughing, animated, completely headache-free on a video call with Jessica, planning their weekend wine tour. The same woman who's about to tell me her head is too sensitive to touch. "How was your day?" I ask, approaching the couch like I'm approaching a crime scene. Because that's exactly what this has become. "I'm fine, migraine's back though." The lie rolls off her tongue so easily, it's almost artistic. I lean down for our ritual forehead kiss, the one gesture that used to mean something. She recoils like I'm contaminated. My head's too sensitive. But I can see her phone screen. Instagram stories from her friends at expensive wine bars, laughing, living their best lives. The same friends she's too tired to see when I suggest we do something together. The same friends who apparently cure all her headaches the moment I leave the house. That's when the paramedic in me finally woke up from its coma. In emergency medicine, when you see a pattern of symptoms that doesn't add up, you don't ignore it. You investigate. You document. You build a case. Because something was killing my marriage, and I was the only one trying to perform CPR on a corpse. I retreat to the kitchen, make a peanut butter sandwich in silence, standing up like a stranger in my own home. Watch her through the doorway as she transforms, suddenly animated, thumbs flying across her screen, probably texting the same people who give her anxiety when I mention double dates. Then my phone buzzes. "Can you send me $400 for that photography workshop? It's only this week." I stare at that heart emoji, the first one she's sent me in 3 months. Funny how those little digital symbols of affection only appear when my wallet is involved, like a slot machine that only pays out when it's taking your money. That night I opened a new folder in my phone, household documentation, the truth about Eliza. Day 1. No greeting when I arrived home at 7:23 p.m. after saving 3 lives. Claimed migraine prevented any physical contact, but was animated on phone with Jessica for 37 minutes, laughing at things I apparently wasn't interesting enough to hear. The documentation had begun. And what I discovered over the next 6 months would make me question everything I thought I knew about love, marriage, and the woman sleeping next to me every night. 6 months of bank statements spread across our kitchen table like evidence from a crime scene. The mathematics are brutal. $600 for Niagara Girls weekend, $350 for wine tasting, $280 monthly for spa treatments, $1,200 for iPhone business investment, 180 weekly DoorDash orders. Total, $8,940 in 6 months. My personal spending, $340. Joint contributions, 90% Mark, 10% Eliza. Planning our budget? Eliza appears at 11:47 a.m. I note the exact time because I've started documenting everything with military precision. She's already dressed and made up, which has always struck me as odd for someone who works from home and claims constant exhaustion. How does someone too tired to cook dinner have energy for a full beauty routine? She sees the bank statements spread across the table and freezes like a deer in headlights, then recovers with that practiced smile she reserves for client presentations. "That's so responsible, babe. You're so good with money." "Our money, right." I look up from the highlighted figures, pen poised like a scalpel. "Show me your contributions to our budget." A nervous laugh escapes her throat, the sound she makes when caught off guard by questions that require actual answers. "I contribute in other ways." "Like what?" specifically. List them. I watch her brain scramble for responses that won't sound completely absurd when spoken aloud. The pause stretches like a flat line on a heart monitor. I shouldn't have to justify my value to you, Mark. That's not how marriages work. I'm not asking about your value as a human being, Eliza. I'm asking about your tangible contributions to this partnership. There's a significant difference. She shifts tactics, announcing her girls' weekend like it's already a done deal, a fait accompli that just needs my financial signature. Her hand extends toward where she knows I keep my credit card, muscle memory from months of practiced extraction. No discussion about our budget, no consideration of timing, no acknowledgement that I might have feelings about funding another celebration of how much better her life is without me in it. I open the banking app in front of her instead of reaching for my wallet. Power move. Type $600, slowly, deliberately, making each digit feel like the negotiation it should have been all along. What's this for again? For the first time in our relationship, I'm making a money transfer feel like an actual decision instead of automatic compliance. She fidgets with her phone, avoids eye contact, shifts in her chair like a defendant under cross-examination. It's just girls' weekend, Mark. We've talked about this. We've talked about this? I set down my phone. When exactly did we have this conversation? Because I have no memory of discussing a $600 expenditure for a weekend that doesn't include me. You know, we talked about it. Her voice wavers like someone trying to remember a lie they told weeks ago. Right, just girls' weekend, of course. The sarcasm is subtle, but she catches it. For a split second, I see genuine uncertainty flicker across her face before the entitled mask slides back into place. Uber arrives, kiss on cheek, first contact in days. Don't wait up Sunday. I document everything. Friday. Instagram stories, wine glasses, best girls ever. Saturday. Expensive restaurants I've never seen. Sunday. Spa treatments, self-care Sunday captions. She didn't just take my money. She documented how much better life was without me, posted it publicly, made sure everyone knew how happy she felt away from her husband. The evidence was undeniable. She was using my funds to build a life that excluded me while advertising that exclusion to anyone with an internet connection. Monday morning, 8:30 a.m., I walk into a credit union branch across town and open an individual checking account. Not out of spite, but out of survival. If she wants to live like she's single, she needs to start funding it like she's single. The account representative asks if I'm planning any major purchases. Planning for independence, I reply. She nods with the knowing look of someone who's seen this conversation before. We have completely confidential account options. That would be perfect. I redirect $800 per month from our joint account into my new sanctuary. Keep receipts for every personal expense. Set up an emergency fund she can't access, touch, or even know exists. My second documentation folder. Financial Independence Timeline. Operation Self-Respect. December 15th, Apple Store. $1,200 iPhone Pro Max in my hands like evidence. 2 weeks of Eliza's subtle hints. Instagram screenshots showing competitors with better cameras. Essential business investment, she claimed. She's gonna love this, the sales associate beams. Yeah, love. That's exactly what this is. I photograph the receipt. Create new folder. Christmas 2024 transaction analysis. Christmas morning asymmetry. Eliza's Oscar performance of surprise about iPhone. First real emotion in months. Immediate photo session of the device. Her gift to me, $12 gas station socks and generic card. Love you, babe. Thanks for everything. Thanks for everything. Phrase for service providers. I've become a utility in my own marriage. Document the card for evidence. She posts unboxing videos, tags number sign, blessed number sign, spoiled wife. I appear in 0 photos, despite buying everything. Christmas dinner solo. She's too full from brunch. Turkey sandwich while she edits photos for 4 hours. New Year's Eve. Watch her live stream party prep with iPhone I bought, celebrating a year that didn't include acknowledging my existence. I'll need to think about it. $800 for an Instagram influencer's design course. Some 25-year-old with perfect lighting and zero actual business experience selling mentorship packages to women who confuse social media engagement with professional development. Eliza's shock is immediate and genuine. For the first time in months, she's looking directly at me instead of through me like I'm furniture that pays bills. Since when do you need to think about helping me grow professionally? Since I realized you only communicate with me when you need money. Her face cycles through several expressions before settling on wounded indignation. Wow, that's really low, Mark. What's low is pretending this is about your professional growth when we both know it's about my wallet funding your entertainment. She deploys the victim strategy with practiced precision. I can't believe you'd be this petty over helping your wife succeed. Petty would be expecting someone to fund your lifestyle while offering them nothing in return. What I'm being is realistic about our actual relationship dynamic. That evening delivers the silent treatment, ironically proving my exact point that she only communicates when she wants something from me. The silence is so complete I can hear the refrigerator humming in the kitchen, a sound more welcoming than anything coming from the woman I married. I start my third evidence folder. Communication Patterns Analysis, the sound of one hand taking. RBC branch in Ottawa's East End, 2:30 p.m. on a Tuesday. The financial advisor is a middle-aged woman with kind eyes who's clearly seen this conversation before. Individual checking account, I tell her. Maximum privacy settings. Planning for a big purchase? Planning for independence. She nods with understanding that requires no further explanation. We have completely confidential account options that won't appear on any joint statements or communications. That would be perfect. Within an hour, I have a new financial sanctuary. $800 per month gets redirected from our joint account. Not enough for her to notice immediately, but enough to build a foundation for whatever comes next. Every personal receipt gets documented. Every expense tracked. Every financial move calculated with the precision of someone preparing for war. The systematic withdrawal begins. Week 1. No more coffee deliveries to her home office. The expensive kind from the local roastery that she claimed was essential for her creative process. Week 2. No more surprise wine bottles from LCBO on Friday nights. The bottles she'd drink while ignoring my attempts at conversation. Week 3. No more DoorDash orders when she claims she's too stressed to cook. Let stress motivate some actual meal preparation. Week 4. No more automatic approval for money requests. Every ask now requires justification, explanation, and consideration. The results are fascinating from a behavioral psychology perspective. She doesn't mention the missing coffee ritual, doesn't ask about the absent wine, orders her own takeout without comment, still expects automatic financial compliance for bigger requests. The pattern is undeniable. She never valued the gestures, only the money they represented. Tim Hortons, 2:30 p.m. Lydia walks in, former colleague with genuine smile and eye contact. Mark, how are you holding up? 4 words no one at home has asked in months. Double-double, right? Chocolate glazed after rough shifts? She remembers. 23 minutes of real conversation follows. Work stress, department changes, difficult cases. No requests, no demands. Just interest in me as a person. I sit in my truck afterward for 37 minutes, trying to remember the last time Eliza looked at me the way Lydia just did. Like I was worth knowing, rather than just worth using. Mental inventory of conversations with Eliza over the past month paints a devastating picture. Every single interaction was transactional. Money requests, complaint sessions about her clients, logistics coordination for household management, problem-solving for issues that somehow always required my time or resources to fix. 0 unprompted questions about my emotional state. 0 curiosity about my thoughts, dreams, fears, or professional challenges. 0 genuine interest in my inner world beyond how it could serve her external needs. I create a new folder, Comparative Analysis, How Strangers Treat Me versus How My Wife Does. The scientific method applied to human relationships. Control group, colleagues, patients' families, cashiers, random people I encounter. Test subject, the woman who promised to love, honor, and cherish me. Results after 1 week of careful observation. Colleagues show more curiosity about my well-being than my wife. Patients' families express more genuine gratitude for my help than the person sharing my bed. The cashier at our grocery store makes more eye contact and asks more personal questions than Eliza. Random people I help during emergencies treat me with more respect and consideration. The pattern recognition that keeps me alive in emergency medicine is screaming code blue about my marriage. 2 weeks later, kitchen table, 7:15 p.m. Eliza notices my emotional distance and initiates damage control mode. "You've been quiet lately? Everything okay at work?" First unprompted question about my well-being in 47 days, delivered with the casual tone of someone checking the weather forecast. We're sitting at our kitchen table, a rare occurrence since she usually eats while scrolling through her phone on the couch. "Work's fine. I've been thinking about how relationships are supposed to work." I watch her face carefully for signs of genuine engagement. See only mild irritation at the inconvenience of an actual conversation that might require emotional labor on her part. "What do you mean?" The question feels obligatory, like she's reading from a script titled, "How to Appear Interested in Your Husband." I mean, I used to put in all the effort, emotionally, financially, romantically, domestically. Now I'm tired. She stirs her pasta absently, already reaching for her phone like a security blanket. "We're all tired, Mark. Life is exhausting." No follow-up questions. No acknowledgement of my specific exhaustion or curiosity about what might be causing it. No interest in what all the effort means or how she might help address the imbalance. Just dismissal, wrapped in false equivalency, and a return to scrolling through other people's lives. "I'm not tired like you claim to be tired, Eliza. I'm tired of being invisible in my own marriage." But she's already checked out of the conversation. The moment it became about something other than her needs or wants, her attention span expired like a parking meter. The Netflix incident occurs the following Saturday. Bill unpaid for the first time in our relationship history because I genuinely forgot it existed. Too busy working overtime to fund her lifestyle to remember the streaming service she uses to ignore my existence. Her complaint arrives via text message while she's sitting 20 feet away in the living room. "Can't watch my shows. Did you forget something important?" The passive-aggressive phrasing is art, not, "Hey, Netflix bill needs paying," but a loaded question implying my forgetfulness is somehow a character flaw affecting her quality of life. "Had other priorities this week," I text back from the kitchen. Her explosion brings her stomping into the kitchen, phone clutched like a weapon of mass destruction. "You're acting like I'm some kind of gold digger, Mark. I'm your wife." "Then act like it." The words leave my mouth before I can stop them. Her jaw drops with genuine shock that I've called her bluff so directly. "Because right now you treat me like a subscription service that you can ignore until something stops working." I stand up from the table, suddenly feeling like I've been carrying an invisible weight for months without realizing it was crushingly heavy. "When's the last time you asked how I'm doing?" Not about work logistics, not about household management, about me as a human being with feelings. Silence stretches between us like a crime scene tape. "When's the last time you touched me without needing something first? When's the last time you said my name without it being followed by a request for money or a solution to one of your problems?" More silence. She stands frozen like someone caught in a lie they didn't realize they'd been telling. "When's the last time you showed genuine interest in my thoughts, my struggles, my dreams, my fears? When's the last time you treated me like someone worth knowing instead of just someone worth using?" The questions hang in the air like smoke from a house fire she's been ignoring for months. She can't answer any of them because honest responses would demolish whatever justification she's constructed for treating me like a human ATM with convenient problem-solving abilities. Dr. Jacob Coleman, therapist specializing in first responders. Direct communication that cuts through fog. "Tell me about your marriage." I show him months of documentation. I've been keeping track. This is methodical, like treating a patient. Because I am, trying to diagnose what's destroying me. "Why haven't you left yet?" I wanted to believe she'd come back. "But has anything improved?" "Number gotten worse. You're protecting yourself now. Yes. Permission. That's what I needed. Permission to prioritize my well-being over her comfort. The homework assignment. 1 week of complete emotional honesty. No more automatic compliance with requests. No more covering for her emotional absence. Document her responses to boundary setting. Halifax weekend. First responder retreat. Mostly escape disguised as professional development. 3-hour drive alone. Windows down. Tension leaving shoulders. Workshop. Recognizing burnout in personal relationships. People who drain others take your energy while convincing you it's normal. Eliza checks every warning sign. Harbor walk at sunset. Salt air. Peaceful silence. No buzzing phone. No demands. Hotel room overlooking water. Fall asleep easily for first time in months. No anxiety about tomorrow. Wake up refreshed. Realize, I don't miss her anymore. I miss who I thought she was. Research begins over room service breakfast. Nova Scotia paramedic positions, housing costs, cost of living comparisons. Not fantasy or impulse. Strategic planning for a life that doesn't require me to disappear in order to function. Contact job placement agency for preliminary discussions about transfer procedures. The conversation feels like plotting an escape from prison, which is exactly what my marriage has become. Returning home Sunday evening, Eliza barely glances up from her laptop when I enter our living room. "You're back!" 2 words, no questions about the weekend, what I learned, how I'm feeling, whether the training was valuable. She returns to her screen before I can respond, making it clear that my absence was noted but not missed. I stand in the doorway of what used to be our shared space, seeing clearly for the first time in years. This isn't a marriage. It's a financial arrangement with occasional sex and shared living expenses. The following weeks bring methodical preparation for complete independence. Research Halifax job market during lunch breaks. Contact Nova Scotia Health Authority about position availability and transfer procedures. Open Nova Scotia bank account during a supposed work conference trip. Another small lie in service of a larger truth. Personal items begin disappearing from our house in carefully planned phases. Books first. She never noticed I read anything anyway. Photos of us from happier times get packed away because looking at them feels like visiting a graveyard. Winter clothing, sentimental keepsakes, anything that represents my individual identity gets moved to a storage unit across town. She doesn't notice any of it. Too busy curating her social media presence to pay attention to the systematic erasure of my physical presence from our shared space. The final test arrives on a Tuesday evening in March, delivered with the casual entitlement I've learned to recognize as her default mode. "Can you send me $500 for new computer equipment? My laptop's running slow, and it's really affecting my productivity with clients." No. 1 word, 2 letters, revolutionary impact. Her head snaps up from her phone like I've spoken in a foreign language. "What do you mean, no?" Genuine confusion. The word no from me is apparently a concept she can't process. "I mean no, not anymore." "Not anymore what?" She sets down her phone completely. First time in weeks she's given me her full attention. "I mean, I'm done funding a lifestyle that doesn't include treating me like a human being worthy of basic respect and consideration." Panic response initiates immediately. Sudden transformation into the woman I fell in love with 12 years ago. Cooking elaborate meals she hasn't prepared since our dating days. Wearing dresses that have been hanging untouched in our closet for months. Scheduling intimacy attempts with the desperation of someone trying to revive a patient who's been flatlined too long. Performance affection. Calculated attention. Scripted romance designed to restore the status quo where I fund her life while she ignores my existence. Too little, too late. I can see through every gesture now because I've learned to document patterns instead of hoping for miracles that never come. Final conversation Thursday evening in April. "I feel like we're falling apart, Mark. We fell apart months ago. I'm catching up to reality. We can fix this, right? Counseling? I see a stranger who's been spending my money while contributing nothing. You can't fix something that was never real." She cries. Frustration at losing control, not grief over losing love. I thought this was just a phase. You thought I'd stay no matter how you treated me. You always forgive everyone. Was who I was. People change when they learn their worth. Halifax Regional Medical offers position. Accept immediately without discussing with Eliza. Moving day, Wednesday while she's at client meeting. Professional movers, clean break. Note on counter. Moving to Halifax for fresh start. About peace and self-respect, not anger. Take care. House is yours. Mark. 6 months later, Halifax apartment with harbor view, morning coffee ritual, complete and total peace. Morning walks along the waterfront without interruption or agenda, beyond enjoying salt air and seagull conversations. Coffee and breakfast at my own pace, no requests or demands or passive-aggressive complaints about household management. Work shifts focused on helping people who genuinely appreciate the help instead of managing someone else's emotions and expectations while funding their lifestyle. The contrast is so stark, it feels like emerging from a coma. Phone doesn't buzz with financial requests or problem-solving demands. Conversations with new colleagues are reciprocal and meaningful. Social activities are based on mutual interest rather than obligatory attendance at events where I'm treated like an accessory. Sleep comes easily now. Dreams are peaceful. Mornings feel like possibilities instead of problems waiting to be solved by my wallet and emotional labor. Eliza's attempted contact begins exactly 2 weeks after my departure, following what I imagine was her first serious attempt to manage life without my financial backing. Occasional texts. How are you? I miss you. Think I made a huge mistake. Holiday messages. Remember last Christmas when we were so happy together? Birthday attempt. Hope Halifax is treating you well, thinking of you. Late-night messages that practically smell like wine through the screen. I'm sorry. I didn't realize what I was doing. I can change. Please come back. My responses are professional, distant, kind, but completely non-engaging. I'm well. Hope you are too. Take care of yourself. No warmth that might be misconstrued as invitation. No cruelty that might be seen as ongoing engagement. No false hope or mixed signals. Just closure maintained through geographic and emotional distance. The longest message arrives 3 months after I left. Email instead of text, several paragraphs detailing her supposed realizations and regrets, promises of therapy and personal growth, acknowledgement of taking me for granted, detailed plans for becoming a better partner, plea for second chances and fresh starts. I read it sitting on my small balcony overlooking Halifax Harbor, coffee in hand, seagulls providing commentary on human foolishness. Then I take an hour-long walk along the waterfront, letting the ocean remind me what genuine peace feels like. My response is simple and final. I'm glad you're getting help, but I'm not coming back. Some things can't be unfixed once they're broken. Be well. No response comes after that boundary reinforcement. Her silence proves what I suspected all along. She wanted reconciliation on her terms, not genuine change or consideration for my actual happiness. The silence confirms it was always about control and convenience, never about love or partnership. Halifax taught me the difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is being ignored by someone who should care about your existence. Solitude is the peace that comes from choosing yourself over someone who's proven they don't value what you bring to their life. She gave me headaches every night for months. Now I give her distance every day. And in that space, I found everything I'd been missing: self-respect, inner peace, and the strength to walk away from anything less than I deserve. Sometimes the greatest victory isn't getting revenge or proving a point. It's not needing either anymore, because you've moved so far beyond the person who hurt you that their opinion becomes irrelevant to your well-being. I don't hate Eliza. I just don't think about her anymore. And that complete indifference is the most powerful ending of all. 6 months later, my documentation served an unexpected purpose. Eliza's business failed without my financial support. She reached out to mutual friends, painting herself as abandoned wife, me as cold husband who gave up over money disagreements. Oscar-worthy performance, tears at coffee dates, social media posts about learning to stand alone. She rewrote history, transforming from financial parasite to feminist hero. I shared my documentation with 3 mutual friends who asked directly. Sarah, Eliza's roommate. She says things got bad, she's struggling. Anything fixable? I sent bank records. $8,940 in 6 months. Screenshots of social media celebrating life without me while spending my money. Sarah's response, "Oh my God, I had no idea, I'm sorry." Mike got the comparative analysis showing how strangers treated me better than my wife. Jesus Christ, this is emotional abuse, why didn't you tell me sooner? Jessica saw the Instagram stories from girls' weekends, Eliza celebrating freedom with money I'd transferred hours earlier. 3 days later. We thought you were supporting her dreams. We had no idea she was lying about everything. The domino effect was swift and decisive. Sarah stopped returning Eliza's calls. Mike blocked her number after she tried calling him for advice about Mark's mental state. Jessica completely cut contact and told their entire friend group exactly what she'd learned about the real dynamic of our marriage. The social media posts about rediscovering herself and standing strong suddenly looked pathetic instead of inspiring. The victim narrative collapsed under the weight of documented evidence showing months of systematic emotional neglect and financial exploitation. But here's the most beautiful part. I didn't have to do anything actively destructive. I just shared the truth with people who asked for it. The truth destroyed her false narrative more completely than any revenge plot could have. Within 2 months of my departure, Eliza had to sell the house we'd bought together, the one I'd been paying the mortgage on while she spent my salary on herself. The beautiful home where I'd been slowly disappearing became just another financial reality she couldn't maintain without my invisible support. She moved back in with her parents at 35, the woman who'd been too sophisticated to spend time with her husband, now sleeping in her childhood bedroom, trying to rebuild a life that had been built on someone else's foundation. The mutual friends who'd seen my evidence started sharing their own stories. Apparently, my experience wasn't unique. There was a pattern going back years. College roommates who'd covered her expenses, family members who'd loaned money that never got repaid, friends who'd gradually distanced themselves after too many one-sided interactions where Eliza took without reciprocating. I was just the latest and most thorough victim of a woman who'd perfected the art of emotional and financial extraction disguised as relationships. But here's what separated me from her previous targets. I documented everything. I treated her behavior like the medical emergency it was, gathering evidence and building a case that couldn't be disputed or rewritten. When I heard about her circumstances through the social media grapevine, because Halifax isn't far enough away to completely escape news about someone you used to know, I felt nothing. Not satisfaction at her comeuppance, not guilt about her struggles, not anger about the time I'd wasted. Just peace. The deep, settled peace that comes from finally understanding that some people's problems are not your responsibility to solve, especially when those people created their problems by systematically destroying everyone who tried to help them. The best outcome isn't punishment or suffering or dramatic revenge. It's complete indifference. It's building a life so fulfilling, so aligned with your actual values, that you forget the person who tried to tear you down even exists. I have that life now in Halifax. Morning coffee tastes better when you're drinking it for yourself instead of someone who treats you like room service. Harbor walks are more beautiful when you're walking toward possibilities instead of away from disappointment. Work feels meaningful again when you're helping people who appreciate the help instead of enabling someone who's never satisfied. My apartment is small but peaceful. My bank account is smaller but growing steadily without constant drainage. My social circle is smaller but filled with people who actually enjoy my company rather than my financial contributions. And sometimes, on particularly clear mornings when Halifax Harbor sparkles like scattered diamonds, I remember that paramedic training about triage and life-saving priorities. You assess the situation, you stop the bleeding, you stabilize what can be saved, you don't waste resources on what can't be revived. Sometimes you have to let something die in order to save what matters most. I saved myself. That turned out to be the only rescue that ever really mattered. The woman on that couch, with her fake headaches and real demands for money, feels like someone I knew in another life. Someone I pitied but could no longer save. The man who used to come home hoping for acknowledgement, affection, or basic human decency feels like someone I rescued just in time. Because 14 straight nights of documented headaches taught me something more valuable than any medical training: the difference between someone having a problem and someone being the problem. Eliza was never having headaches. She was giving them to the person who loved her most, one night at a time, until he finally realized he deserved better than being treated like a pain reliever for someone else's selfishness. In Halifax, I sleep peacefully every night. No headaches, no requests for money buzzing my phone, no guilt about existing as a human being with needs and feelings. Just peace. Complete, total, well-documented peace.